Hello and welcome to another little video. I just had a dear friend of mine who's been pursuing their unfoldment write to me to, I guess, complain or lament or something. I don't really have an association with this anymore, but that their partner has cheated on them, and how to look at that in light of her spiritual predilections. And I thought, well, the easiest way, because this is such a common topic, a common subject, and whenever anybody anywhere tells their story about their life, there's always a good somebody cheated on me kind of episode woven into the fabric of the human experience. And quite often one of the more painful chapters in the experience. But to be able to address it, you first have to look at the idea of goal. What is my goal in life? And because without having a set goal, and without having set a goal of which you are determined to reach, a loose lips goal is nothing. It has to be a goal that you've put into like concrete in your mind. It's beyond anything, it's your goal. And in our case, it's going to be inner peace. It's going to be the attainment of enlightenment, and which is the liberation of the soul from the cyclical nature of the remanifesting phase of the third dimension. Got that out. So we have to set a goal. Without a goal, you're like a ship without a rudder, just going at the mercy of the tides. And in this case, the tides will be every new idea about something that comes along. What love is, what love should look like and shouldn't look like, and that can't be love, because if you really love me, you wouldn't do that, and you would do this. All of these sorts of things, which of course are very immature perspectives on ideas of love. And I say immature in the sense that not childish, but in the idea of growth and learning, they're very, very elementary. When you first come to the world, these are the sorts of ideas that you tend to fall into contact with and reject others, because they tend to support the notion of specialness and support the notion of two coming together to make a whole, and all of these sorts of things. And it's romantic and all of this other stuff that fills the void. So I want to look at that idea of using specifically that idea that somebody cheated on me or you or whatever. It doesn't matter. We don't have to keep this singular. We can just talk about it as an expression of certainty about a particular thing at the moment that reflects the nature of an idea of relationship with the universal whole. But we're going to deal with it first on the superficial level and then take it to a deeper level, because primarily the superficial level, or the level of form, the dross level, is where we find ourselves, or seem to find ourselves, whether we've experienced the opposite of that or not, or an alternate to that or not. You could use the same idea that somebody's done something or anything to you with the same success in the way we're going to present this idea today. But we're going to use this one specifically because of its relevance to a more universal human experience, in the idea of the denial part of the human dreaming. So you have to look at the big picture always look at the big picture. The human being born into the world, supposedly born into the world through the birthing process, and educated by those who went before, and in the manner of whatever authority of education and social agenda, all of that sort of stuff. So, and then you begin to question. You begin to question, why is life like this, and why do people cheat on me, and why doesn't I able to find a suitable partner, and all of these things. And I'm going to tell you that every partner you find is suitable. But without a goal, you're not going to be able to see how that is. So remember, our goal is to reach enlightenment. Our goal is to master inner peace, which allows the I am of the mind, the singular portal, or the singular place where a portal that opens up to the true self abides in the mind. That's what we're here looking for. This is the journey of the soul. It's not the journey of the body that undergoes things, even though on the surface that's how it appears. So the idea that every relationship I'm in is always perfect, it's always teaching me exactly what I need to learn, but I need to learn how to use the relationship, or learn to see the relationship as a teaching tool. If I think I'm just in it for the validation and fulfillment of bodily pleasures and identity management, then I'm going to be not only short of the mark, but I'm going to miss the whole point of it entirely. Because it's either all or nothing. You're either on point or you're not on. You're nowhere near it. So learning to see each relationship as a means whereby what is offered within the relationship is actually helping you to reach enlightenment. How is that so when it causes you such great pain? You could ask, isn't enlightenment supposed to be a journey of joy and happiness and peace and love and unity and all of these things? Isn't that supposed to be the journey? Yes, it is. But it's also the journey of confronting one's own fears and letting go of the world as we think it is, and accepting it actually as it is. Now, you may not want to hear that, of course. You may still have a stubborn streak in you and resist authority in what I'm telling you, that you're never going to find fulfillment out in the world. You're never going to find satisfaction out in the world. You can only ever find it within yourself. And every person, partner, situation, relationship that you enter into is, of course, going to be an opportunity to be able to do that. I like in A Course in Miracles, one of the lessons there in the reviews of the early lessons, the first 50 lessons, it says quite simply, there is never a moment where God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. And certainly in the regard of the idea that somebody's cheating on me, or that I'm a victim of some circumstance that I had expectations about being other than it was, that would be definitely a call upon my forgiveness of myself for my own errant ideas about things, so that my mind can be returned to peace, so that my mind can come back to peace and love and all of those sorts of things that we think the spiritual path is about. And of course, as we release more and more defensive postures of thought that are really only maintaining or attempting to maintain bodily identity, we become more and more free in our mind, more and more free in our experience, and care less and less who does what and what goes on. From where I am and wherever you may be in your own particulars, according, that you're giving to your efforts in salvation, that might seem a far fetch or something just beyond reach mentally. But because everything is a lesson, because everyone is my teacher, my guarantee of having learnt that lesson is my honest gratitude to the part that the person has played, or to the person for playing that part. So I like the story too. If you haven't read the book by Neil Donald Walsh, Little Soul in the Sun, it's a children's book, but most adults are children. So I would highly recommend to get that. It puts everything I'm saying now into a nutshell in a very childlike way, which can be appreciated and thought about and given to meditation to see where it fits in the sector of the journey of your soul where you're at right now, which in this moment is here with me, equal and one in this teaching learning relationship. And you might think, well, I don't really understand what you're telling me, Dave, or it doesn't really make sense. I can hear something in there, all of these sorts of things. But and I'll tell you exactly the same thing as it was for me when I was sitting with my teacher for 6 years every day. Sometimes I couldn't hear what he was saying at all until finally the experiential orchestration of my particular physical association came around the block again and presented me with a situation wherein, because I had been studying and putting effort in, I'd sort of become to a kind of a higher level where what he had said to me before now suddenly made sense. It clicked, right? But at the time it didn't really click. So let's go to the crux of the matter. No one cheats on you ever. No one ever does anything that you don't ask them to do. Everyone is playing a part for you, including me. Everybody is playing a part to help you attain enlightenment, which is liberation from time and space. Now, unless you're seeing your life, your purpose, your reason for being here as in conjunction with or in association with your highest purpose, which is your spiritual journey, then you're actually operating on a lower level as far as purpose goes, and you're never going to reach the vibration that's high enough for you to be able to transcend the sum of the parts. Whereas if you set your goal and begin to make your way up Jacob's ladder, you'll realize that the parts all assemble as one thing, which is a relationship that you have with the divine, with God. Right? Everyone and everything that is playing a part for you to help you understand the nature of your true self is part of a whole singular experience that we call salvation or resurrection, whatever you want to call it, which has already occurred in the mind somewhere, but awaiting for you to make the choice and the decision to true up to it. Right? By suddenly taking a break, suddenly stopping, suddenly looking around you and saying, what is the meaning of my life? Why do people keep cheating on me? Why is the world the way it is? And then leaving the place where the answer comes blank. Don't fill it in with your own pointy brain, because remember, the thoughts in here, you don't know the answers. Otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, quite simply. I know the answers, but I didn't know the answers at the original point in the experience of my life when I started to ask them. I had to seek for them. I had to work hard and meditate and pray and go through untold amounts of traumatic confrontation with my own fear, with my own insanity. And you'll have to do the same. But hopefully through my efforts and the efforts of those mighty companions who walk with me, the ease with which you'll be able to do that will be somewhat lessened by our own efforts. The path will sweep the path ahead of you with things like this video that hopefully will help to explain what's going on. And I say that loosely because actually nothing's going on. But what's going on in a way wherein you can begin to participate in your own salvation and begin to bear witness to the learning of the lessons through the gratitude that you find yourself having for those who play the part of teacher. And in this case, the greatest act of forgiveness you're going to have to perform is for me telling you that this is just a dream, you're asleep and you're actually in eternity now. And as the co-creative force of all that is. This is a dream. It's an illusion. It's purposeless until you give it a purpose. And I'm not talking about a purpose as in my purpose is to have a wife and children and bring them up with no clue why the hell they're really here. That's no purpose. How can that fulfill you, knowing that you're leaving behind your offspring in the same ignorance that you lived your entire life through being here as well? It's time to start paying attention. The world is old and tired and without hope. Stop looking for hope in the world and look where it is, inside you, within. Anyway, so somebody cheated on you and you're all upset about it, and I can understand that because you don't understand why anything's happening to you fundamentally. But I'm telling you now that it's happening to you to get you to pay attention and to get you to begin to question your life. Why is it like this? Why isn't it how I want it? And in a certain sense, it is exactly how you want it, because you find what you're looking for when you come. This is an experience, this world is an experience of the denial of unconditional love. Therefore, in this world, you cannot not expect to find love in a conditional framework wherein you'll attempt to secure those conditions on your own terms. If you love me this, if you love me that. But I'm telling you that you'll eventually get tired of trying to decide what love is or love isn't, and you'll come to an understanding on your own that love must be unconditional if it's going to be love at all. And that, of course, will bring you into conflict. That'll bring you into conflict with all your ideas of, I can't allow love to be unconditional, because you'll have all these preconceived ideas of what you think that might mean then. If love is unconditional, then this person that I'm with could go off and have affairs with any number of people. What grounds do I have for attempting to justify myself in a position of honour and respect and all of that stuff if that's the case for me? You don't have any grounds at all. Remember, I told you this is an experience of denial of unconditional love. Everything here is not what you think it is, and until you come to at least a beginning acceptance of the fact that things aren't how you think they are, you probably won't raise any of your beliefs to question. But literally, it's your own beliefs about your purpose in the world and why you think you're here that are actually keeping you in pain, keeping you in the suffering and the struggle, manifesting diseases and situations that you don't like. It's all the same thing, all revolving around the idea I think I'm a body, rather than I am spirit on a journey of the soul, experiencing a very important part of that as an idea of undoing the belief that I am God and accepting my second place as co-creative source and force in all the universe and beyond. Into eternity where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. That tiny mad idea very simply was representative of the idea that I think I am God and that God serves me. It's an attempt to usurp the throne, to overthrow the Creator and become the creative force yourself. And having looked at that idea from every which way imaginable and never really having conceived of a way of working out my idea of being here as anything other than that, as the fall from grace, and good luck if you can, I'll tell you that it's going to be a long, long journey if you want to try and accept it on your own terms. So when I tell you the purpose and why you're here and all that sort of stuff, if you could just accept it from me now, you could begin to experiment with things and save yourself an awful lot of time, awful lot of delay, awful lot of pain, suffering and struggle. No one is doing anything to you. This is the story, the script, the adventure that you chose to come here, to be cheated on, to be abused and murdered and raped and victimized. What do you think the representation of love, unlike unconditional love, would be? The opposite of love is fear. But if love is all-encompassing, if love is everything, if God is all-encompassing forever and eternal, eternally creating like itself in its own image, which is formless as spirit, then this can't possibly be anything other than a mad idea, a mad dream, a mad illusion, the Maya. And yet it does no good to simply say, oh, it's just a dream, I don't have to worry about it. Because the situations that are the learning catalysts in the dream will show up again and again and again to help you to bring your mind to a point of surrender, a point of reflection, a point of true alignment with something that is real in you. And that point and that moment can be any time, can be right here and right now, which is actually the only time it can be. But I'll present this message again and again in almost infinite ways, through various bodily forms, through various situations and events, until you can finally hear it. This is a dream and you're in a process of awakening. And when you begin to pay attention to it, when you begin to notice that the particular cause and effect relationship of the situation that you find yourself in is reflective of your relationship with the whole, then you'll be able to learn to choose differently or choose better for an outcome based on a new goal that you've set for yourself, being inner peace. And of course that's going to involve a certain amount of humility, true humility, which is accepting the Christ in you rather than your own autonomy, which is choosing second place to gain the first, which is choosing to be happy rather than right, which is choosing to forgive rather than condemn, to be grateful rather than to judge, to learn the lessons that life brings rather than attempting to circumvent those lessons in favour of other outcomes. But good luck if you still think that's a possible or potential activity in your mind, in your thinking. If you still think you can get away with something, you'll try harder and harder to control the next person that you're with, the next relationship you find yourself in, so they don't cheat on you, which will push them away to a cheating factoring more and more and more. All right, well, I hope you can hear that. I'm going to leave it now. You may want to rewind this video and watch it again, or you might want to read Neil Donald Walsh's book, The Little Soul and the Sun, which will give you a very page by page in pictures explanation of exactly what I'm telling you now. All right, peace.